This hour for you on Daybreak, we'll talk about what happened with the Branson Board of Aldermen meeting last night regarding a mask ordinance for the city.
And Nixa Public Schools released its masking requirements for students and teachers. We'll take a look at what those are.
Also, the pandemic is threatening supplies for Missouri families. We need to talk about food, security, and insecurity that's happening in the Ozarks. It's all this hour for you on Daybreak.
Good morning. Thanks for joining us. Today is Friday, July 17th. I'm Jennifer Abreu.
And I'm Joe Morano. Plenty happening for you this morning as we get set for another weekend, but this is one that you're going to have to watch out for because it's going to be so hot out there, right?
Yes, dangerously hot almost. So lots of water is what I keep hearing. And I was hoping for a cool down, but that's not the case. It's actually getting hotter, Elisa told us over the weekend, right?
Yeah, we already have heat advisories in effect for Saturday. So very steamy and like you said, could be dangerous, especially for those more vulnerable populations like elderly, kids, and pets.
Okay, so make sure to stay cool whenever you can and hydrate when you can.
Yes. Yeah, and just check out for, look out for your neighbors, especially if you know maybe someone doesn't have air conditioning or something like that. Just good time to just keep all of that in mind. We've got some bright skies down in Springfield. We've got some cloud cover and some sunshine coming through on the square. It's 73 degrees out there right now with some southerly winds. You've got a little bit of a swirl of some showers that have really disintegrated here overnight. They were much more intense a few hours ago. You've got one more very intense storm with some locally heavy rain and lightning about to get over Stockton. Otherwise, just some showers back towards Mount Vernon, and I haven't seen anything on the ground in Springfield as far as rain. It's 73 degrees in Springfield, 71 in Monette, and 73 degrees in Fort Leonard Wood. Very humid out there this morning. You've got deep reds on that muggy meter map. So some of us are starting out with some wet roads this morning with a few of those showers still lingering. A couple of showers and storms will be possible today with that high around 90 degrees and a very high UV index of 10. So some showers and storms out there. You'll have more sunshine and things a little bit hotter to the west. So heat advisories in effect along the I-49 corridor today. Everyone will have that heat advisory in effect in Missouri tomorrow for temperatures in the 90s, feeling well over 100. So a pretty steamy weekend ahead with heat advisories already in play. Details on the heat for next week coming up in a couple of minutes.
It was a long day for the Branson Board of Aldermen as it was working to vote on a masking ordinance for the city and hear citizen input. The final result being the board has voted to postpone the city's ordinance until July 28th. The aldermen say they aren't against masking, but the rule created needs more work before it could be passed because currently the ordinance would make it illegal to be in a public space without a face covering or keeping 6 feet of distance, and the penalty would be a fine of up to $500 and possibly 90 days in jail. All businesses could have licenses taken away if they don't enforce the new mandate either.
Well, meanwhile, in Nixa, everyone visiting Nixa Public Schools will now be required to wear face coverings starting on Monday. Dr. Gerald Loden, the superintendent there, says masking is just a small piece out of the entire safety plan. They also have UV lighting machines, foggers, backpack sprayers, AC filters, and more. But it seems the masking rule is the one that is most controversial among parents. He says there was actually a lot of flexibility in the masking rule. He called this mask on the move. Once you get out of your car on campus, you're asked to wear a mask to get to class. But once you get to your classroom, you can take your mask off. A Nixa public school parent who we talked to said they support this mask requirement.
There are people like me that are grandparents raising kids. There are grandparents who are caregivers to kids after school who could all, be affected by an asymptomatic kid bringing it home, not even knowing it.
My wife's a nurse and she's like, you need to wear a mask, and I really don't like them. But if I'm an educator, I know there's babies out there that need school and they're not going to learn at home. And I've got to do the best I can to make sure that we are able to have school in the fall.
To refuse to wear a mask will be punished the same way they are for violating dress code. Employees who refuse to wear one will also be disciplined and even could possibly face termination.
Around the region for you this morning on Monday, all Arkansans are required to wear face masks out in public. Governor Asa Hutchinson cited many reasons as to why he decided to make this ruling, one being the increase in cases, as Arkansas saw 817 new cases during a 24-hour period earlier this week. Like most places that have passed a mask mandate, residents are mixed on how they feel about it.
I think it's an infringement on our rights. I don't think we should have to do it.
It's not that bad. We're here in the hottest dog days of summer, and I'm still, walking around with a mask on my face just because it's the right thing to do.
The mandate requires a mask if 6 feet of social distance can't be maintained for both indoors and out.
On more COVID-19 news today, the Springfield Greene County Health Department announced 37 new cases and nearly 20 locations where positive patients could have exposed others to the virus. For a full list of times, dates, and locations of those possible exposures, head on over to our website, ozarksfirst.com.
Christian County is announcing numerous locations of potential exposures between July 5th and July 13th. Locations include the Come and Go in Clever, the Signal Food Store in Nixa, and Orchelin Farm and Home in Ozark. Currently, Christian County has 81 active coronavirus cases. As usual, we have the full list of locations and times over on ozarksfirst.com for you.
The pandemic has been a threat to food security in many places. And today, Jillian Andrews tells us why some in Missouri might be struggling to feed their families.
4 months into the COVID-19 pandemic, many Springfield and Ozark residents are still seeking assistance with food. In fact, the need is growing.
Seeing roughly a 50% increase in the number of people seeking food assistance compared to this time last year. 80 to 90% of that increase are new clients that are here due to COVID-19.
With federal unemployment benefits due to end later this month, food pantries will need even more help to distribute food.
We've also been relying on Missouri National Guard, and their deployment ends this month.
SNAP is a federal program that helps those who are eligible pay for groceries. During the pandemic, the federal government allowed some increases, but not for those who are already receiving maximum benefit.
And with schools closed and Congress declining to increase SNAP benefits thus far during the pandemic, there just haven't been sufficient resources for families to make them whole here. And we're seeing the consequences with hungry kids.
Child hunger has reached record highs during the pandemic.
We're seeing almost a 600% increase in child food insecurity from 2018 to right now.
With the end of the pandemic nowhere in sight, the clock is ticking for the House and Senate to agree on a plan to help those struggling to feed their families. Jillian Andrews, Ozarks First.
We're starting out with some sunshine in Springfield with some clouds and dry roads on your Color 10 Live Drive. We've got heat advisories already in effect for Saturday. Details on the extreme heat coming up this weekend. Coming up next.
From Color 10 Ozarks First, Jennifer Abreu, Joe Morano, and weather with meteorologist Alisa Rafa. This is Color 10 News Daybreak.